Hello, fishes, and happy Halloween. Um, I hope you guys are having or you had a wonderful spooky month. Today is all about the Halloween time. Kind of lucked out that got uh, one of our girl pieces on Halloween itself. Um, so I'm doing the final one because Rose didn't want to talk about Castlevania in a row, which is fair. Neither of us have ever really played them. She played them more than I have. That's why she did the first one. But I've never played a Castlevania, so it was kind of like, well, she doesn't need to talk about it again, so I get to ramble this about Castlevania, which will be very little to do with Castlevania if I'm being honest. But I just wanted to be here for Halloween, have some fun with it. But start with a little bit. My first real introduction to Castlevania was actually because of Smash. I had heard about it, but I didn't really know what it was about or anything to do really. But I remember when they announced Simon and Richter for Smash Bros. They released the trailer like they do, and I remember the trailer. If you don't remember that one or you haven't seen it, go watch it. Luigi literally dies and gets his soul taken, which is very sad. Luigi's the best. But it was just kind of like a surreal, oh, that happened. Okay. But as for like I've never really been a horror person. Like growing up, I just never really caught my attention. I remember the first ever horror movie that I actually watched, Child's Play. And I was like 6 or 7 at the time, something young like that. I was told to go to bed, but of course, being the rebellious child, I snuck downstairs and started watching. We didn't have cable, so didn't have all the channels in the world. But it was around Halloween time, and one of the channels we had was Child's Play, and I didn't know it was a horror movie because when I started watching it, it was at the beginning, and it was just about the doll, and it was about Chucky, and it's just the doll and the kid. I thought it was just like a Toy Story situation, as you do. But I distinctly remember the scene at the end where they throws Chucky into the fire. That visual scarred me for life. I go back and watch it now, and I'm like, oh, it's not even that scary. But for 6-year-old me, I was terrified of that stupid Chucky doll for years to come. That was my first real experience with some horror related. Growing up, you had, especially during Halloween, there would be years where you would have everyone and their dog would dress up as a ghost face from Scream, and it was never really scared of Ghostface. I was like, it's such a goofy looking mask. I didn't understand why. I was never scared of Ghostface. It was just kind of like that. But always so many of them. And the ones that had the liquid blood dripping inside the mask. And I just remember that being so popular for some reason. I mean, Ghostface is really popular, and I get it now, but at the time, never understood what the appeal was for that character. So, but yeah. As for other spooky things, I do want to play Dead by Daylight. Rose mentioned it last week about being able to how added Dracula and everything into the game. But it's Dead by Daylight's like I've played it a couple times. I've played it like 3 times. I have it, and I enjoy playing it. I just don't have anyone to play with. Like I'm trying to get a couple friends if get like a group together. If you guys are interested and want to see a video on that, just like let me know down below because, you know, I would love to play it for this. But only if people watch it. I guess I should talk a little bit about. So, the character who is playing Simon in this, her name is Libitina. She's a friend of ours, her OC or AOC. But she is a Grievard from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. And I honestly can say I think Scarlet and Violet has some of the best like Pokemon. I'm not gonna say designs because there are some of the designs in Scarlet and Violet that are kind of weak, but they just have such good names, like Capsaicid and Scovillain. The designs of the actual Pokemon themselves aren't the greatest, but the design is great. I could talk for hours about how Fido and Darkspun are like peak Pokemon design. I love them so much. They are my favorite dog Pokemon. They used to be Lycanroc. Lycanroc has been demoted because I love Darkspun and Fido. They're just quirky, unique, and so much fun. But Scarlet and Violet, for some reason, they just went hard with their new Pokemon edition. And it's crazy to me because it is so wow. But with the whole thing being like the starters kind of weak, don't hate them, don't love them. They're just kind of in the middle. You know, the first evolutions for all 3 are great, but then as they evolve, they kind of get weaker. It's not the best starter lineup, but I still like them. They still have their little. They're still charming. But yeah, so Grievard is from that, and I love how she turned out here. Little like candle flame back of the head, really fun. Really fits for the vampire hunter look aesthetic, with that Greek look of what, you know, for Halloween, make it extra spooky. So it was nice that they kind of lined up that way. Let's talk about just more Halloween stuff. Growing up, Halloween was never like we never really went like trick-or-treating around our neighborhood growing up because our neighborhood wasn't really the greatest. It had a lot of it was just a lot of apartment buildings, so it wasn't really great for trick-or-treating. But we would go over to like a couple neighborhoods over and go with our friends who lived a couple blocks for trick-or-treating. And then the city would do a trunk or treat every year. That's kind of where we did it too, where it was okay, we got our trick-or-treating in without it being actually door-to-door neighborhood. But we would always go out, me and my sister would have so much fun. And then when we moved, we moved to a far better neighborhood, had far better houses, better candy. One of the houses where we moved it was like at the bottom of a big hill, like there was a street hill bottom. They would like open up their garage, and they kind of decorated their garage as kind of sitting room-esque, haunted house sitting room. And they served donuts and hot cocoa, cider, and it's where you could sit and relax. Parents can sit and relax while kids trick or treat. Neighboring houses, kids could sit there and eat their donut and fun. It was just a really cool little experience just to have that there as like a, hey, you know, you have your candy for the future, but for now you sit down and eat your cider and your eat your cider, no, eat your donut and drink your cider or hot cocoa. And it was just a lot of fun. Favorite candy bar for me, I'm a sucker for Twix and Kit Kats. Simple, very classic. It used to be Three Musketeers. I don't know why. Like, they're not bad. They're just boring. I also there was a time I really liked Take 5 bars. Those an 8. Just probably see if I can find them. I loved Take. They were just something about them. I like the pretzel crunch and love to find. But what we would do after we would go trick-or-treating, we would go and we'd just sit and watch a Halloween. Because we would stop trick-or-treating around like 8 o'clock, 8 or 9, something like that. And then we'd spend the next hour and a half watching Halloween Town. Twitches was one. A lot of Disney Channel ones, because that's just kind of what we didn't watch really. Like I said, we didn't really watch anything spooky growing up. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye! Happy Halloween!